The Bridge of Silent Promises. The small town of Aldenbrook was known for its quiet streets, cobblestone alleys, and a little wooden bridge that crossed over the Silverleaf River. The townsfolk called it the Bridge of Silent Promises. Legends whispered that couples who met there under the moonlight would find their fates intertwined forever. Amelia had grown up hearing that story, but she never believed in it. To her, the bridge was simply a shortcut on her evening walks after working long hours at the bookstore. She loved books more than anything, at least, that's what she thought. Life, for her, was about the comfort of pages, not people. Ethan, on the other hand, had returned to Aldenbrook after years away in the city. He had left to chase a dream of being a musician, but reality had been far less romantic. The city had drained him, leaving him with little more than broken guitar strings and unfinished songs. When his mother fell ill, he came back, carrying with him not just his guitar, but a heart-weary disappointment. Their paths crossed one crisp autumn evening. Amelia was standing on the bridge, watching the orange and red leaves swirl on the water, when she heard the faint strumming of a guitar. She turned and saw Ethan sitting at the far end, lost in the melody. His eyes were closed, his fingers moving gently across the strings. "Beautiful," Amelia murmured without meaning to. Ethan's eyes opened, and for a moment, he looked surprised to see anyone listening. "I didn't think anyone was here," he said softly. "I come here often," Amelia replied, her cheeks warming. "It's quiet." "Quiet is good," Ethan said with a smile. "It means you can hear the music better." From that evening on, they often met by coincidence, or perhaps fate, on the bridge. Amelia would bring a book, sitting on the railing with her feet dangling above the river, while Ethan played tunes that matched the mood of the night. Sometimes, he asked her about her stories, and sometimes, she asked him about his songs. Slowly, silence turned into words, and words turned into laughter. One night, the town was covered in a gentle mist. The lanterns along the bridge glowed like golden orbs, and Ethan played a melody unlike any Amelia had ever heard before. "Is that one of your songs?" she asked. He nodded. "It's unfinished. I could never find the right ending." "What's it about?" Ethan hesitated, his eyes lowering. "It's about searching, and finding something worth staying for." Amelia's heart skipped a beat. She wanted to say something, but words failed her. Instead, she opened her book, flipping to a page she had dog-eared days before. She read aloud a line about love being like a river, ever flowing, always finding its way, no matter the stones in its path. Their eyes met. For the first time, neither of them needed to fill the silence. It was enough. Winter arrived, wrapping Aldenbrook in snow. Amelia and Ethan kept meeting on the bridge, their breaths forming clouds in the frosty air. She brought him hot tea in a thermos, he sang her songs under the snowflakes. The bridge, once a quiet place of solitude, had become their haven. On New Year's Eve, the town gathered by the river, lanterns floating on the water. As fireworks painted the sky, Ethan took Amelia's hand for the first time. His fingers trembled, not from the cold but from the weight of unspoken feelings. "Amelia," he whispered, "I think I've found the ending to my song." Her eyes widened. "And what is it?" He leaned closer, his breath mingling with hers. "You." The fireworks exploded above them, but Amelia hardly noticed. She smiled, her heart swelling, and whispered back, "Then I suppose I've found mine too." From that night on, the Bridge of Silent Promises carried one more legend. Of a girl who loved books, a boy who loved music, and the silent promise they made beneath the stars, that their story would never truly end. The Bridge at Dawn. Evelyn had always loved the sound of the river. Every morning, before the world truly woke, she would walk to the old stone bridge at the edge of town, carrying her notebook and a cup of coffee. There, she would write, about dreams, about memories, about feelings she didn't know how to share with anyone else. The bridge was her quiet sanctuary. One autumn morning, as mist curled lazily above the water, she noticed she wasn't alone. A man was standing at the other end of the bridge, sketching the view. He was tall, with dark hair that caught the light like strands of silk. He looked up, their eyes met, and for the briefest moment, it felt as though the morning itself had paused. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he asked, gesturing to the river. "Yes," Evelyn replied, though she wasn't sure if she meant the river or him. His name was Daniel, a painter who had returned to town after years abroad. He told her he had once painted this very bridge as a boy, and now he wanted to capture it again, with all the years and stories that had passed. Their conversations flowed as easily as the river below, and soon, mornings became something more than solitude, they became anticipation. Evelyn found herself arriving earlier just to see if he was there, and he always was, waiting with a warm smile and a sketchbook. Seasons changed. Winter draped the town in white, and Daniel painted Evelyn into his canvases without telling her. Spring came, and she read him her poetry beneath cherry blossoms that fell like pink snow. By summer, their walks stretched beyond the bridge, through meadows and hidden paths, until Evelyn could no longer deny the truth she carried in her heart: she had fallen in love. But love, she discovered, was not without shadows. One evening, Daniel confessed that his work was calling him away again. A gallery overseas wanted to showcase his paintings. It was everything he had dreamed of, yet his voice trembled when he told her. "What if I lose you while I'm gone?" he asked softly. Evelyn placed her hand on his, her voice steady though her heart ached. "You won't. Some things distance cannot touch." They parted with a promise, letters every week, calls whenever possible, and a reunion at the bridge when he returned. The months apart were heavy, filled with longing, but also with hope. Evelyn wrote to him every dawn, and he painted sunsets with her name hidden in the strokes. A year passed. On the first day of autumn, Evelyn returned to the bridge at dawn, the same place where everything had begun. The mist was the same, the river was the same, but her heart pounded differently. Would he come? Would he still feel the same? Then, through the fog, she saw him. Daniel, standing with a small canvas in his hand. He looked tired from travel, but his smile was brighter than the sunrise. "I painted this for you," he said, showing her a picture of the bridge, only this time, she was in it, sitting with her notebook, her hair lit by morning light. Tears filled her eyes as he stepped closer. "Evelyn, I don't want to paint places anymore. I want to paint a life, with you in it." The river flowed on, the sun rose higher, and Evelyn finally let her notebook fall closed. She didn't need words anymore. She only needed him. And on that bridge at dawn, two souls who had once been strangers found a forever they hadn't even known they were searching for. Whispers of the autumn wind. The small town of Rosehill was always painted in warm colors when autumn arrived. The streets were lined with golden leaves, the scent of cinnamon drifted from the local bakery, and the evening sky seemed to hold a soft promise of something magical. Emma Bennett had grown up in Rosehill. She was a quiet girl with a love for books, often spending her afternoons in the little library at the corner of Main Street. Her life was simple, filled with routine, until one late afternoon when the town welcomed back someone it had not seen in years. Daniel Carter had left Rosehill after high school to chase his dreams of becoming a photographer. He had traveled the world, Paris, Tokyo, New York, and his pictures had been displayed in galleries far beyond what anyone in Rosehill could imagine. Yet, despite his success, Daniel found himself longing for the comfort of home, the place where his story began. When he walked into the library that afternoon, camera slung over his shoulder, Emma almost didn't recognize him. The boy she remembered, the one who sat 2 rows behind her in history class, was now a man, taller, his eyes sharper, but carrying the same warmth she remembered from years ago. "Emma Bennett," he said with a smile, his voice familiar yet deeper. "Daniel Carter," she replied, her heart skipping unexpectedly. "I didn't think I'd ever see you back here." They began talking, at first about small things, the town, the people they knew, how much had changed. But as days turned into weeks, their conversations deepened. Daniel would visit the library often, sometimes pretending to look for a book just so he could sit by Emma's desk and talk. Other times, he would bring his photographs, showing her sunsets over foreign seas, children laughing in distant villages, cities glittering at night. But Emma noticed something in his pictures, something missing. "They're beautiful," she said one evening as they sat on the library steps, the autumn wind brushing past them. "But they don't feel like home." Daniel looked at her, a little surprised. "You're right," he admitted quietly. "I think that's what I've been searching for all these years. And maybe," he paused, his eyes lingering on hers, "maybe I've just found it." From that moment, something unspoken grew between them. They walked together under the falling leaves, shared coffee in the little cafe by the river, and often found themselves laughing about old memories. Slowly, Emma realized that the boy she once knew had always been carrying a piece of her with him, even if neither of them had realized it back then. But life, as always, tested them. Daniel received an offer from a magazine in New York, an opportunity that could elevate his career to new heights. Emma encouraged him to take it, even though her heart ached at the thought of losing him. "Your dreams are bigger than this town," she whispered on their last night together, standing beneath the street lamp where golden leaves danced in the air. "And what if my dreams are here?" he asked softly, his hand finding hers. "Daniel," she began, but her voice broke. He leaned closer, his forehead resting against hers. "Emma, I've seen the world, and yet nothing compares to sitting here with you, listening to the autumn wind. My photographs may tell stories, but you are the story I want to tell for the rest of my life." Tears filled her eyes as he kissed her, a kiss that carried the weight of years lost and the promise of years to come. Daniel turned down the offer. Instead, he opened a small gallery in Roseville, where his photographs of distant lands hung beside new ones, pictures of the library bathed in afternoon light, the cafe where they spent their mornings, and most often, portraits of Emma, her smile brighter than any sunrise he had ever captured. And so, beneath the whispers of the autumn wind, their love story continued, not grand, not filled with fame or fortune, but simple, quiet, and everlasting, just like the golden streets of Rosehill.